Nebraska Preps postgame with Damon Benning and Jacob Padilla.
That's the big voice guy. That means we're back. We're a little later than normal, but we had to let things happen, and now we have to be extremely efficient as my man Jacob Padilla joins me for another week of Nebraska Preps postgame. And it's a lot, right? Preview districts, or actually recap districts, preview state. Got a lot to get in, man. How was the extended time? It's not like we got downtime. We're actually working, so I don't know how much downtime there really was.
Yeah, well, first of all, happy belated birthday to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Hope you enjoyed it.
I appreciate it. It was, I spent it in a gym. Weird.
It's nice hearing from your sister as well.
She's nuts, right? Like, we're definitely part of the same family.
But yeah, it was fun. Kind of mixed in, fit in going to games whenever I could in between the Huskers actually picking up a few wins.
Yeah. How about that? Right? It's almost like, hey, where was the vote of confidence earlier? My kids actually have realized that they almost got me fired. Right? Well, like we have seen some buy-in.
And it's funny how much easier it is to buy in when shots start to fall too.
Yeah, like I don't know how portable that is, right? They've shot close to 60% from three, and they've made a lot of shots, and it is a make or miss league. You still had 14 assists and 15 turnovers. In a win the other day against Ohio State. So there are still some things that ail you, but when you were making shots, it's different.
Followed up with 4 turnovers in the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
So progress. And they actually, defensively, they got it done in the second half, too, because shots did stop falling in the second half.
And for Verge to be such kind of the whipping boy, man, 11 assists, no turnovers, or 11 assists, 1 turnover against Ohio State. Progress, right? Yeah. Baby steps. Not a landscape changer, but you got building blocks late at least.
Yeah, but that's enough Huskers talk. We got other podcasts on this.
We're like, come on, man! This is Nebraska Preps.
We got a lot.
We got
to
high
get
school,
to.
man. Well, where do you want to start, man? We were full slate last night, and a lot of overtimes.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start with the boys Class A district finals. I was at one of those overtime games.
I was not.
Yeah, as expected, the top 3 seeds took care of business fairly easily. But those bottom 4, you're like, okay, these all 4 of these could be interesting. And all 4 of them were for the most part. You had 2 upsets. You had 2 multi-overtime games. You had, I think,
one double overtime, 1 triple overtime.
Yeah. So we'll start with that. The Gretna game. There was a 59-53 double overtime win for Gretna. That was the one I was at, and not a pretty offensive game for either side. What wasn't great shooting percentages either way, but Gretna got a lead early and held on to it throughout the entire game until about the last 70 seconds when Lincoln Southwest rallied to tie it up. And then they went back and forth throughout the overtimes. Both teams had chances to win the game and couldn't hit the shots. And then in the second overtime, Gretna, they did enough there. They got the lead, and then they hit some free throws down the stretch as Southwest shot 3 for 12 from the field in the second overtime.
So I was asking a couple of guys from that staff that were do stats and follow that team pretty close. Like, how did it get to double overtime? Because I'm following along with you or through you online, and it seemed like it was low scoring. It was kind of a grudger. Gretna had an 8-9 point lead. I felt like, okay, there just aren't going to be enough possessions in this game to kind of make a run. And then I click refresh, and we're making runs late heading to overtime, and he said, listen, we stopped making shots, and they started to get a little hot. Was it any simpler than that, or was that about it?
That was about – I mean, Gretna only scored 7 points in the fourth quarter. And, I mean, Southwest only scored 14, but that was enough to dig themselves out of the hole there. And a lot of it was on Ben Hunziker, who has been so good this season. Yeah. Finished with game-high 23 points. He had 12 points in the third quarter. They were down 10 on the last possession, and somehow they got to stop. It's funny. There was a clock malfunction. It started late, and then Southwest or Gretna ended up getting a couple of shot attempts, and then ball went out or foul or something with like 1 point something on the clock. inbound, chuck it deep to Hunziker, or chuck it deep, pass over to Hunziker, gets off a 3 at the buzzer and buries it to give him 12 points in the quarter and make it a 7-point game going in the fourth. And then, again, their defense took over. They've got so many long bodies to throw out there.
They do.
Like, almost everybody in the rotation, 6 of their 9 are 6'5" or taller. I mean, the shortest player playing for them was Ryland Smith at the point guard spot at 6'2". You got Hunziker at 6'3". You got their backup big guy, Jameson Vogt, is 6'4", and then everybody else is 6'5" to 6'7". So they got a lot of length and athleticism to throw out there on the wing, but and that made life difficult for Gretna's guards, who, I mean, normally kind of drive the bus for them, average over 30 points combined between Landon Pekorski and Alex Wilcoxon. And it was actually Grant Jansen and Jeffrey Roselle. They're big guys.
You know what? He shows flashes, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
They're finding a ways to utilize both he and Jansen. It's a little bit of a different look for that team.
Yeah, Jansen had 15 in the second half, finished with 19 and 9. Roselle had 10, didn't miss a shot, and 12 rebounds, including some above the rim in traffic. Had a couple of key putbacks. And Jansen picked up 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes. And then I thought Brad Feakin did a great job of managing his minutes in the first half after that. They didn't sit him for the rest of the half. They put him in. They did offensive.
I actually like that, where just because you get an automatic 2 fouls, a lot of it is trust. Some of it is, man, sometimes you just got to coach.
And they did a lot of offense-defense. So they put him in for a possession. He'd get fouled, hit 2 free throws, and took him right back out. They kind of did that throughout the first half to make sure he wasn't sitting the whole time.
Such a good coach.
And he finished with 4 fouls and had a big second half after he made it through the first half without another foul. So it was a great effort from the Dragons there to pull that out. And Southwest, again, they just shot under 30% from the field in the game. And that's just not going to get it done.
Sometimes, with them, and I don't know. And, I mean, you still got another year with Smith and with Ryland and see kind of where that happens. But last year we thought they were a little ahead of schedule. This year I felt like they had pretty good expectations. Interesting to kind of see where Southwest window is right now currently as a basketball program without a ton of signature wins this year.
Yeah, and Ben Hunziker is the one senior in that starting lineup. But he was
tough to replace, though.
Exactly. He was without him, that game would have been over early. But again, everybody else, the juniors in the starting lineup, they're JV. They've got a lot of freshmen, sophomores playing JV. They've got a really good young group. So we'll see. This was definitely a step forward for them. Hunziker leaves as the program's all-time leading scorer and set their season single steals record this season as well. So a great senior year for him. But we'll see what they can do back next year, stepping up without him. But the other overtime game was Creighton Prep and Lincoln Northeast, which went to 3 overtimes after a combined 0 points in the first 2 overtimes.
Yeah, a lot of consternation and hand-wringing about this one. I'm getting plenty of stories, recaps, real time, who's holding the ball, who's not holding the ball, strategy. And listen, with Northeast, they've been close, and a lot of these kind of get-over-the-hump games. And, Prep, I'm going to maintain this because I believe it to be the case, and this is their 8th straight time going to Lincoln. This may be perhaps Coach Lutke's best coaching performance.
Oh.
That lineup has been makeshift. It's been a mash unit. He's had to find ways to score. He's had to play a couple of different styles. He prefers space and pace and to get up and down the court. He just couldn't play that way this year, and he's found a way to adjust.
Yeah, and I believe they were down in the final minute. They went and got a bucket to tie it up in regulation.
Yeah, heck of a late run, right? And I just a testament to the resolve.
Yeah, they were trailing the entire game, but rallied to get it tied, and then they got a stop to send the game to overtime. And then you talk about there's somebody in the zone, somebody holding the ball. It's not great for the fans or players either way, but I mean, neither side sounded like budged really on it. So
I think Creighton Prep was holding for the last shot as my official buddy was kind of describing it to me. They held it for about 1:45, and he said even then almost started the offense a little too early, and it almost cost him. Started with about 15 seconds to go, a little too soon, and gave Northeast a crack at it at the end. But, Prep just finding ways to win. Aesthetically, It's not always pleasing, but man, for him to get to this win total, and by him I mean Coach Lutke, it's a fantastic coaching job.
No doubt. And then in A4, we had probably the most surprising one. Elkhorn South 72, Omaha Central 53.
Yeah,
They got
start to finish.
Yeah, they got that thing to 20, I believe, in the second quarter, and then just kind of cruised the rest of the way. Central just had no answer for Elkhorn South's ball movement and pace. And Alec Noonan took over in the second half, finished with 27, and they held P.J. Davis and Jay Dawson to 10 of 35 from the field. And as we've talked about all year, Central goes as those two go. If they're on, they can beat anybody. If they're not, they're going to have a tough time winning games.
Yeah, depth for them. Where that program goes is going to be interesting. What's in the program, what's leaving the program. Coach Behrens, and most notably, moving on to Westview as their athletic director. You know, I've said this a ton, and I don't listen. And it's full disclosure, right? I'm not the parent of a player in the program. I don't watch them on the day-to-day, but I've seen them 4 or 5 times this year in Elkhorn South, twice up close and personal playing against Westside. For some of the criticisms that I think are out there for Coach Riley and that program in terms of their levels of achievement, somehow they find themselves in every game right there playing well for extended spurt. They gave Westside fits. They did it last year, and at no point during that game did I think, Kyle, you know what? These guys don't know what they're doing. Like, there's a plan. There's a way that they play. And they play hard. They squeeze you on offense, right? Just nothing comes easy when they guard you. It's one of the more underappreciated defensive teams I think I've seen all year, and they did it to Central again last night.
And this team kind of, I guess, matches well with how Norman Riley wants to play, with just in terms of the balance on the team, the depth on the team. We've got a lot of guys that can hurt you, a lot of guys that make an impact on both ends. And again, Alec Noonan was a star in that game last night.
His fitness is his fitness. It's underappreciated. A lot of people don't talk about. They just assume you're in good shape. He's different, right? There are guys and gals that are in shape and committed. We saw it in the 5 overtime game against South. Yeah. His ability to play hard for long periods of time, man, are different at this level. He is in fantastic shape.
And he's so good around the basket. He's really improved the jump shot, be able to score at multiple levels now. And we've seen him take over for some big games. Henry Burt scored 16. I believe he's leading him scoring this year, and he's a great story.
He is something else, man. He's a nice little hidden gem, and Mr. Burt.
Well, he's a guy that JV last year didn't really play much varsity, and honestly, like, shot selection was an issue for him previously. He's just kind of like touching it, getting it up.
Yeah.
And this year he's really over the past year, he's really grown into an impact player for them, and it's always kind of cool to see those stories of the late bloomers that go from not playing to leading
much like
scoring.
Jansen.
Yeah,
right. I mean, he's got a story to tell too with Gretna.
Yep. So Central still moves on though. That they get the wild card in A as the highest seeded team to lose, and then which means down here in A7, loser goes home, and that was Papio South with Pius going to the black hole and winning 61-46. And Pius kind of took control in the first half and then held on to it throughout. So Pius moves on. We talked about them all year, kind of like they had the best chance of anybody in Lincoln, I felt like. I think that was
back when the season first started, right?
And they kind of some ups and downs, but they appear to have settled into a nice little groove here at the end of the season and punched their ticket to state.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because we kind of wondered how they were going to mesh, who to play through, who not to play through. Boer arriving on the scene. And kind of when you look at it, Papio South was playing well. Right, hadn't lost in the month of February, and I know we just started a new month, but I think they had won 7 in a row, something like that, throughout the month of February. So they were playing at a really, really high level. And it's almost like, much like Coach Lutke's playing in his 8th straight trip to Lincoln. It's death taxes and Coach Spichka getting his team to kind of peak late when it matters the most. You can definitely tell that's a battle-tested program. And we talked about Burt. Pius boasts one of their own when you talk about underappreciated, kind of do-everything kind of guys, and that's Brady Christensen.
Double, man. Averaging 11 boards a game this year.
Yeah.
He put up some monster rebound totals. And that's a guy, you've got a lot of guys on that team that like to shoot the ball, and he was capable of putting up 20 in a game if he had the right matchups, and there's some games where he took like 5 shots, but went out and grabbed double-digit rebounds anyway. So just a nice little compliment to the other pieces on that team with his willingness to go do the dirty work, to make the hustle plays, to be physical, and allow those other guys to go out and do what they want to do.
You kind of wonder what would have happened. And listen, Papio South has the young guards with Reese and Bryson Ball and Reese, as in Reese Kircher. They got off to such a slow start. You talked about getting out to the early lead and hanging on. I mean, you're down 18-5 after one. You play the rest of the game virtually even. You just kind of wonder a year into it, or that's a battle-tested veteran bunch in Pius playing against a couple of guys that are a little younger in some key spots for Papio South, who embraced the moment first. Last night it was Pius.
Yep, for sure. So we have our boys field is the Millard North versus Elkhorn South in the 1-8, Gretna versus Omaha Central in the 4-5, Bellevue West versus Lincoln Pius the 10th in the 2-7, and Omaha West Side versus Omaha Creighton Prep in the 3-6. And I was there during the season rivalry game. That one was decidedly one-sided. But we'll see if Prep can kind of learn from that and find a way to turn it around and make it a great game. It's always awesome when you get rivalry games in the state tournament.
Yeah, bigger court, bigger floor.
Fans won't be on top of you quite like they were.
They really bothered Prep in the backcourt and pressured those guards. It's a smaller court from a regulation standpoint. I'll be curious to see kind of how that one unfolds. But I'm gonna tell you a sneaky one, and I don't think you're gonna chuckle because you understand basketball. Tough draw, in my opinion, for the 1 seed in Millard North with Elkhorn South. Your scout has to be on point with Elkhorn South because they don't give you anything easy. Millard North has struggled to kind of shoot it from distance, and Elkhorn South doesn't allow you to dribble drive and turn the corner on them. That one for a 1-8 definitely has my attention. Now listen, Jason Green is the one that's not like anybody else, so if they got hot and just rolled them, okay, I get it. It's the 1 versus the 8. But that one is a really, really interesting matchup, at least for me. It's easy to talk 4-5 with like Gretna Central because those are two closely contested teams. But if you're looking for a not so obvious, the 1-8 and the 2-7 with Pius and Bellevue West, those aren't gimmies. Though I could see those being tough basketball games.
Yeah, and it was a 10-point game when Elkhorn South and Millard North played during the regular season. It was a 5-point game when Central played Millard North during the regular season. So that's Millard North is the one team that Gretna didn't upset in the top group. They didn't get a chance to play them. So, yeah, the field is definitely going to be interesting. You got some good teams there.
How do you kind of see that 2-7, that Bellevue West Pius matchup is interesting because I do believe Pius, they have the size, but Bellevue West can play big if they want to with the rope and William Kyle III. But defensively, Hostriders are going to really put pressure on the front court of Bellevue West.
Well, I was there when they played during the regular season, and that was a big-time Bellevue West win. They just shot the lights out.
Yeah.
The only reason, Jared Bohr had the game of his life, went off for 30 points on 11 of 14 shooting, didn't miss a shot in the first half from what I recall. And they scored 68 points. Sam Hostrider added 20. But they
couldn't defend.
Yeah, exactly. Gave up 95 points. They gave up 27 points in 3 of the 4 quarters. So they're going to have to find a way to defend and slow those guys down better than they did during the regular season.
Do you see any potential upsets there as you're looking at kind of the first round of matchups?
I think we probably hit on all the matchups pretty well. You never really call a 4 or 5 an upset. That, you could see that one going either way. I said I don't know that Creighton Prep's going to be able to score enough to knock off Westside. I don't know that Pius is going to be able to get enough stops. That, again, they certainly don't look like a typical 7 seed. We'll see if they can play, if their play can match up to that. But yeah, I think that's. I don't know that we'll see a ton of upsets in the first round because, again, I feel like those top 3 teams are pretty solidly in the kind of the tier of their own.
Well, you want to jump over to B or?
Real quick, let's just hit on the girls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in the Class A district finals.
It's going to be tough.
A lot of chalk. The one upset in the district finals was Bellevue West with the game winner, Danny Coyer, over against Lincoln Pius to knock them off, win that 38-36. So a bit of a rock fight there, but impressive move for a young player to, in that moment, catch, went up, little baby hook over the rim and in when they really needed a bucket.
So if you're kind of looking at it, and we talked to Bryce Myers this morning, we talked to Ann Prince, who's representing Elkhorn North in Class B, and just kind of getting a setup. And with A in particular, Millard South hasn't played Fremont. They've had a couple of tough battles with Central. Central's still trying to kind of get over that mental south. That's what I should call it. That Millard South hurdle of the shot making with Taryn Warden and Melcher, and I mean Bellevue West can shoot it. I think A is a little more interesting than just looking at a team and saying, "Oh, look, Millard South is 25-0." There's some nice little cat and mouse matchups in those seedings.
Yeah, and the way it played out is, I think, going to be pretty fun. You get in the first round, if Millard South take care, if seedings hold, you got the 4-5 Central and Southwest. That's going to be a good.
It's going to be a tough matchup.
That's been good the last couple of years, and whoever comes out of that one, like if Central holds on there. We've seen them struggle to beat Millard South this year, but you just never know with that team with the combination of Ital Lopio inside and her length and ability to finish and block shots, and then those shooters. And if it's an Anaya Webb game, they can beat anybody. She's on. She can drop 30 before you blink.
The key will be if she's committed to guarding, it really changes the way that team looks defensively because she's very capable. Long arms, she's athletic. When she wants to defend, she can.
Yeah, and obviously we know Ania Jones can do a lot of things at the point guard spot.
Yeah, she's
and Nia
tough.
Wayne is a bucket getter as well. So if shots are falling and they take the right shots, then they'll have a chance. But if Millard South gets through that, then you move on to the other side of the bracket. You've got Fremont and Lincoln High if seedings hold there.
Well, defensively, I think it's important. Hopefully, they're one of those teams that if you haven't played them before, Lincoln High really gets after you. Ultra quick, they can defend. They shot it well early in the year in a couple of their big upsets, so that's always going to kind of be the key. But they don't have to travel very far, and they're right there in their own backyard, and they've got a coach that's familiar with that arena.
Yeah, and I'm sure, again, if seedings hold there, that Fremont will be looking forward to that one after what happened against Lincoln High during the regular season where they had to leave the entire game and just let it slip away late for the 4-point loss.
Borderline historic run late in that game for Lincoln High where they got hot as they were kind of getting stops.
So that's kind of the field in A. Pius did get the wild card there, so that they're facing Fremont as a 7 seed, and Lincoln High gets Bellevue East. Great job by Brittany Wilson.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
And she did it in a hurry.
Yeah.
Right, it seems like they just hired her.
Yeah.
Because this is what, year 3?
Something like it sounds about right.
Yeah, it's
got a good mix of veterans. I think they've got players from basically every single class making an impact on that team. So, great job there. That's the field in A. And I guess we'll see. Where do you want to go next, boys, girls?
Let's go boys B. Just because I think there are some really, really tricky matchups. C1's easy. I mean, we could spend 30 minutes. I mean, when you're opening with Auburn and Concordia.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that for a 4-5 in C1?
Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, we talked about all year long, though, how good C1 was, how deep there were in terms of top-tier teams. And when that's the case, you're going to get those matchups in the first round. You got Wahoo, Fort Calhoun qualifying for the first time in 99 years, I believe it was.
There isn't a team at 20-5. There isn't a team in the field in C1 with less than 20 wins.
It's crazy.
Isn't that? I mean, that's nuts. You're over 160 wins combined between the 8 seeds.
Yeah. Auburn Concordia is a 4-5. You've got Ashland Greenwood as the 2-7 against Ogallala. And you've got Kearney Catholic as a 3 against Wayne as a 6. So that is a stacked field. And this is why I'm disappointed about the
format.
Because all these games are going to be at Devaney in the first round. So wouldn't see anybody in C1 until the semis. But, man, that first round is going to be fun if you're a fan of that class.
All right, let's hop up to B. As number 1 seed Omaha Scott gets Blair in the opener. We talked to Coach Juergens this morning. Used to plan early. No problems there with the 9 a.m. tip. But how interesting is, again, another 4-5 with Platteview and Bennington.
And we've seen all these teams play each other for the most part. Scottsbluff hasn't played a lot of Waverly and Norris that came here and played in the same couple of days. But so that's kind of the one you're like, all right, what do you have really? It's always tough to judge their competition, but they've certainly got the pieces to make a run here. They get Beatrice, the 6 seed, reigning champs over there, but the completely different team compared to the one that won the title last year. But, yeah, the Platteview Bennington, again, we saw the issues that Aurora gave Platteview in terms of really making them work for all their points.
Yeah, I did not realize right off the top that Aurora only starts 1 senior.
Yeah.
Raymaker's underclassmen. They were kind of led by Nachigal, who, I mean, didn't really shoot it well, but there were some spurts where they defended and kept themselves in it, and Platteview pulls away late in overtime, getting Coach Brodsky his first win in overtime. But how about Weeblehouse kind of making some key plays for them? We talked about him being a key for Platteview. I wonder if he knows, right? I mean, you assume so. But if you're going to get 2 from the law firm, right? If those guys are going to do their thing, and who's going to be the third? And you think it's got to be Weeblehouse.
Yeah. And on the other side, you figure I'm not sure that Connor Milken hit a jump shot in that game. Like he was having a rough one. He got to the free throw line.
He got some good early looks, but you got the sense, okay, this one may be a struggle.
Imagine dropping 35 and 12 and it being a poor game. It's just kind of crazy.
And he had the in and outs early. I felt like if he had the nice pull up early that rimmed in and out, the good look from 3 that rimmed in and out, and I'd go, ooh. This is a home gym. They may be a little tight, but to his credit, he stayed aggressive and got to the foul line. That was really the difference between he and Noctigal.
17 of 21.
Noctigal, excuse me.
17 and 21 from the line. So he found a way to get it done there, but you figure that's probably not going to – you're not going to probably have 2 games in a row where he doesn't get
Bennington
a
is familiar, right?
And Bennington, the good news for them is Trey Bird, second leading scorer, injured his ankle in the Roncalli game and didn't play until the district final there against Elkhorn. And he barely played, got in there a little bit, took a couple of shots, but it's like he just wasn't quite ready yet to play in that level of a game. But now you've got the extended break here. Got this entire last week off for him to rest up and hopefully be close to 100% to give them a shot to put on a great game there.
What do you think happens with Ron Colley and Waverly?
I just don't know that Waverly's going to be able to
score enough.
Yeah, they do have the athleticism to match up with Roncalli, which not a lot of teams in B do. But you also got to have the shot making there, and they're going to need a few of those guys to really shoot the ball well to be able, because we know how high-powered Roncalli can be. They get up and press you, they get turnovers, they get easy buckets that way. They've got some guys that can knock down shots. So, and then Jake Orr kind of getting in the paint and making plays for everybody else. So Waverly's kind of had a tough time scoring for stretches all year, but again, they've got enough athleticism to defend and hopefully stay in that one.
When you're taking a look at the best potential candidate, are you looking for a Scott Roncalli 4? I mean, you almost never see that. And
this is kind of the same thing in B, where we saw, I think, the two best teams in that district final, or sub-district final, with Scott and
Elkhorn North girls.
Scott and Elkhorn North girls, and then Scott and Roncalli boys. Like, those are two of the best games that I've seen all year, and they're gonna have a tough time matching that level of play down there at the state tournament, which is kind of the disappointing part of it, because like they got to such a high level in a game that ultimately didn't really mean anything.
Because you're gonna get round 4 on the boys' side, and with Elkhorn North and Omaha Scott girls, you're gonna get round 3, and they've split. So I mean, Scott's got a chance to go for the double-double, which is, listen, we know that they're not in uncharted waters doing that. Both those programs have had a high level of success, but Elkhorn North is the defending state champs, and Roncalli, the boys who have had some confidence playing against Scott, it's not going to be easy in B for either.
No, and you look quickly in C2, it's just kind of crazy for boys. You get Humphrey, Lindsay, Holy Family, and Howells Dodge in the first round. Yeah. So the rematch of the D1 state championship game last year, and you get that as a 3-6 in the first round. And Freeman's a 1, Harding and Cedar Cat. Like, C2 is going to be good as well. It's just
how about
crazy.
Norfolk Catholic as the 7?
Yeah, at 21-4.
Yeah.
Man, can't believe we're already out of time. There's so many more games that we could touch on, but we're kind of up against it here.
Depth galore. It's Nebraska Preps post game. We're working all week next week. I'm not sure what the schedule will be, but on social media, you can follow Jacob or myself at Damon Benning. We'll keep you posted. You can follow Hell Varsity too. We'll get it out when we'll meet next week. The schedules aren't super user friendly, but for you, we will. Tune in. Don't you dare miss us. It's Nebraska Preps post game.
A Hurrdat Media Production.